joining me. In this video I'm going to be talking about sleeping disorders or sleeping problems. I'm going to be talking about insomnia and hypersomnia. This video will be useful to anyone who has adverse sleeping patterns, who doesn't have a good sleep routine, who suffers from either of these disorders, or anyone who just wants to know a little bit more about sleeping problems and the effects that they can have. So I'm going to talk about, like I've said, I'm going to talk about insomnia first, then I'm going to talk about hypersomnia. So insomnia, what is insomnia? Well, firstly, it affects around 1 in 3 people, which is so a third of people are affected. But what is it? Insomnia is difficulty getting to sleep, staying asleep for a long time, or long enough to feel refreshed. So if you have insomnia, it's not that you won't have any sleep at all. You might have a few hours, you might have what feels like not a long time, but basically enough so when you wake up you don't feel refreshed. You probably feel sluggish, you probably feel maybe full of anxiety, especially if you have things to do the next day after you haven't slept. So it's a real difficulty getting to sleep. And again, I've said this before, it's not just about sort of, oh, it's taken me a while to get to sleep, or I've woken up at 5 and I can't get back, but I've got back to sleep. It's, people sort of lying there for quite some time, maybe hours just lying there, not being able to sleep. So what causes insomnia? Well, one of the things, a huge part, is stress. And stress on the body, stress on the brain is going to have an impact on your life. So if you are getting very stressed, maybe you've got some very busy at work with lots of deadlines, or maybe you've got a very stressful job, maybe you're a teacher or work in marketing or publishing, or a nurse or a doctor, maybe you have a really stressful job, and when you get home you're kind of still processing all of the information from the day. And if you are a stressful sort of person who really feels the stress, it might then keep you awake at night. So stress and anxiety is a huge factor of insomnia. It's also poor sleeping environment. So you might be sort of sleeping in a room that's got sort of really thin curtains, so as soon as the light comes in the morning it will wake you up. It might be lifestyle factors, so it might be that you're working your shift work, so it messes up your sleeping pattern, or even the behaviour that you have in your lifestyle. So maybe you might be taking drugs, or you may be doing different things to keep your body awake. You might be taking lots of coffee, you might be taking lots of nicotine, things like that. If you have a mental illness, you're likely to suffer from so other mental illness. If so for example, if you have depression, you have anxiety, maybe people with sort of psychosis, schizophrenia, things like that, are much less likely to have a good night's sleep. Physical illness can also do this. You may be in physical pain. I personally think the brain and mental illness and physical illness are the same thing, because the brain is a physical entity, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, physical illness is something that's giving you pain, and maybe certain medications. So you might be on something that is maybe an antipsychotic, or that maybe can stimulate. Some antipsychotics actually make you quite sedated, but depending on what you're taking. So maybe if you are feeling that you're not getting enough sleep, then maybe look into what your environment's like. What are you doing? So what are the signs and symptoms of insomnia? So I've already mentioned this: finding it difficult to fall asleep, lying awake for long periods at night, waking up several times in the night. So I know someone I know that has it, where can wake up every hour and feel like they haven't been to sleep, and then just wake up feeling really sluggish. That feeling when you just haven't had enough sleep. You can almost feel a bit sickly, a bit nauseous. So really not great. And if you're working, if you have children, if you have a business to manage, a family to manage, if you're working full-time, anything like that is going to put more pressure on you needing to sleep, because you think, I have to go to sleep because I've got all this stuff to do, and that makes it even harder to get to sleep. So what can you do for insomnia? Well, getting a good sleep routine is key, and especially if you have a mental illness, because setting that regular time to go to bed and getting up really helps with your routine. You have no idea to what end it really does. But when you're waking up at different times, going to bed at different times, this sleep pattern really can be quite disruptive for you. So doing relaxing things before you go to bed, so turning off your phone, turning off the computer. I mean, it's easier said than done. We're all, you know, playing on our phones a lot of the time, whether it's games or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So doing relaxing things, maybe have a bath. If you can't have a bath, maybe do some meditation. It's not for everyone, but it's a really good thing. You know, even if you just sit or lie down for 5 minutes doing some deep breathing, that will really help. Avoiding caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, heavy meals and exercise before bed, because all of this will stimulate the body and therefore stimulate the brain. I've said this, not watching TVs. No napping during the day. If you really feel that you're going to have a really bad night, if you have a nap during the day, this could also make it less easy for you to go to sleep. And a really good thing, I think I've mentioned this in a previous post or something, but writing down any worries that you have. I used to have a worry list, and if you just write down all your worries before you go to bed, just seeing them written down, you can almost say, oh, actually, if I look at that one, I can deal with that one in that way. If I look at that one, I can deal with that in that way. And you keep sort of going through it, and really sort of writing those worries down will kind of leave your brain to then just kind of go to sleep. It's, you know, worth a try. It doesn't work every time for everyone, but worth a try if you think it could work for you. So I'm not trying to rush through this, but because we all, I would say, relatively know a little bit about this, I just wanted to kind of really just say that, you know, insomnia is really I know people that have it, and it is really debilitating and can ruin your job, you know, friendships, relationships. You know, for some people it's not as severe. Obviously everyone's different, so everyone will have different levels of severity in their illness. So that's insomnia. I'm now going to talk about hypersomnia, or idiopathic hypersomnia. I'm going to go through idiopathic in my one of my mental health jargon videos, so I'm not going to talk about it today. So what is hypersomnia? It means excessive sleep or sleepiness that interferes with everyday life. Now, we all love to have a little sleep. Maybe some of us like to have a little nap and get all cosy on the sofa. If it's like a rainy day, maybe like, you know, curl up and go to sleep. That's absolutely fine. It's absolutely normal. Normal because what is normal? But what I mean is if you're so tired and fatigued and, you know, really just sort of most of the day just feel really sluggish, that can be very debilitating and very hard. I suffer a bit with hypersomnia, probably partly because of my meds, partly because of my depression, and my BPD and other things. But I tend to be on this side where I need more sleep. I need to, you know, get more sleep. When I'm feeling depressed, I need more sleep. And sometimes, you know, I'll sleep for 10 or 11 hours a night, and then still kind of have the same amount the next night. And sometimes I can sleep for 12 hours without even worrying about it. I'm trying to get my sleep routine back into a better thing, because I know when my sleep routine is good, then I'm feeling good. Causes of hypersomnia. Narcolepsy, that's the illness when you fall asleep very, you know, sort of just fall asleep randomly and you just, you know, just go off. Sleep apnea, this is a problem with breathing when you're sleeping, so you're not sort of being able to take deep breaths, which makes you wake up because you're almost sort of stopping yourself breathing, so you wake yourself up. Restless leg syndrome, so if you're twitching or you've got sort of like an agitation. Severe sleep deprivation, so if you haven't slept for a long time, then it's going to be harder for you to sleep. It's kind of like when, you know, kids get overtired, you know, it's too late for them to go to bed, and they become really distressed sometimes, and maybe even, you know, be quite difficult and quite challenging to manage. Certain medications such as tranquilizers, so if you are taking any tranquilizers such as sort of any of the sort of Valiums or anything like that, obviously that will make you sleepy. The whole point is for them to relax you. And tranquilizers, also other medications such as antipsychotics will also make you feel very drowsy, because they're supposed to, you know, chill you out so you can sleep. Signs and symptoms of hypersomnia. Most people with hypersomnia sleep for more than 10 hours a night, but struggle to get up in the morning. This is very much me, and I have to have a couple of alarms to get me out of bed. Some days is easier than others. People with hypersomnia struggle to stay awake during the day, and usually compelled to take long frequent naps. And I know when I've been more poorly, when I've been sort of more depressed, then I will take more naps. Sometimes the body is telling you that it needs more rest. Other times it's, you know, you need to kind of fight against it and try and stay awake. But it takes practice and it takes time. Building that sleep routine really helps. So you I've lost my place. I completely lost my. So if you have hypersomnia, then you know you're likely to have mental health problems, anxiety or depression, have low energy, maybe even low blood pressure, restless or agitated, or think or speak slowly. So if you are sort of suffering from this, you're likely to be moving a bit differently, and it's very, very much linked to depression and anxiety. How to cope with hypersomnia? Well, oh sorry, there's some more signs and symptoms. Sorry. Having trouble remembering things or maintaining concentration. Again, if you're exhausted, we've talked about this with when we talked about what depression is in the brain, how the prefrontal cortex will be disrupted, so any of your sort of concentration levels or trying to sort of remember things will be kind of go out the window, and you'll be performing things such as, you know, just moving around the house kind of on an autopilot because you're so exhausted or drained or, you know, feeling fatigued that everything you do is just kind of like part of the motions. With both of these, with both hypersomnia and insomnia, the symptoms often develop during adolescence or in a person's early 20s, but they can occur later in life as well. But you're likely to develop them again sort of late teens, early 20s, like with a lot of these mental illnesses. Finally, what to do if you have hypersomnia: go and see your GP, go and see your doctor. Keep a sleep diary. This is really good. So if you're getting too much sleep, try and record how many hours you're getting a night, and maybe can you try and take a little bit off one of those? Can you get rid of one of your naps in the day? It takes time, it takes practice. Don't expect it to happen overnight, and don't expect that you have to change everything all in one go. It's about making little changes to that sleep routine to try and get back into a really good one that will help you have a nice, you know, restful sleep. That is hypersomnia and insomnia. I'm going to be breaking those down in later videos to go into more detail, but fundamentally what I wanted to do today is say that sleeping problems, sleeping disorders are a huge factor in our well-being and maintaining a sort of healthy body. If we're sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, our body is going to have to work against that, fight it, and it will then mean it's not being able to be strong in other areas. What I can't stress enough is getting a good sleep routine. Once you've got that, you can then build in there, you know, work in other things, take out other things, and really build it around you to make sure that you get that sleep that you really, really need. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting at all, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, then please do. Weekly videos every Wednesday. Take care, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye now.